Hey there. This week I got an email from a couple members, husband and wife team of brand new traders, and they didn't understand a lot of the stuff that we're talking about on the site. So they did send me an email with several questions. And normally what I like to do is if somebody emails me questions, I like to respond to them right away. But sometimes what happens is that I feel that the question that they're asking is very generic and can apply to a lot more people. So normally I think that, if one person is asking a question, there are probably five or six or at least 10 others that probably have the same question but don't have the nerve to ask. So whatever I do is I take that question or questions and find a way to distribute it. Either put it something on the site or put something on the blog, or in this format we're making a video. So let's go ahead and start. There's some very basic option questions that we're going to cover. And these are the questions that they asked. I'm going to go through each one of these questions one by one. I'm putting them all up in advance so you can read them and you can see if you have the same questions. If you don't, then you don't need to watch this video, and I just saved you some time. So you're welcome. Uh, but if you do have any of these questions, then hang tight because we're going to go through them one by one. So let's get started. So basically, question number one, who creates options? Where do they come from? Now, normally options are a derivative. They're based on something else, something like a stock in this case, or it could be an ETF, or it could be an index. So an option is basically kind of like a lease option in real estate. If you want to buy a house, this is a normal example that everybody gives. If you want to buy a house, but you don't want to buy it right now, you can go to the seller and you can say, hey, I'll give you X dollars, but I want you to give me the right to buy this house anytime in the next year, for example, for a certain amount of money. So if you have that option and you pay for that option, then that seller cannot sell that house to anybody else in that time. That's basically what an option is. Now, a lot of people use options as an insurance policy, as a hedge. And this is what a lot of the big investment houses and hedge funds and all them use options for. And how to use them as a hedge is a little bit more advanced for this than what we're going to cover in this video. But most people treat options as an insurance to protect themselves. There are a bunch of others who do treat options as lotto tickets. So basically, if you think a stock is going to shoot to the moon, you can buy some call options, and there are others that will buy some puts if they think a stock is going to zero. There are some stock replacement strategies and things like that that people are using options but they're mostly for speculative purposes. And then the third category of people are option sellers, such as ourselves, which we use options to sell to create an income stream, to create what is supposed to be a consistent stream of income on a month-to-month basis, using options that have a probability of success that puts the odds in our favor. So basically, the answer to the question, these options are created by traders. There is no set place that creates these things or prints them up or whatnot. In fact, I've never seen the paper that the option contains. It's not like it is a contract, but I've never seen the actual contract. I don't even know what it says. And you don't need to. You just need to know what your responsibilities are, and in this case, your broker will take care of that responsibility for you. You don't even have to do. You don't have to do anything. If you buy or sell an option, you are agreeing to a specific set of criteria, and your broker is there to enforce them. Alrighty. Number two. Usually, a seller can only sell what he owns. How do you require options to sell? Again, options are created out of thin air. When two people come to an agreement, that is how the option is created. So, for example, if you put in an order and you want to buy an option on a particular stock at a particular strike for a particular price, You can put that order into your brokerage software, and then you can submit it, and then you just created an option. Now, mostly the market makers are the ones that create most of the options. So if you're wanting to trade in an option that's not traded, there is no market for it, then you will not be able to trade it because you're a small fish. If you're a large institution, you can go into the market and to any of the market makers and say, this is what I want to trade, and the market maker is there to take the other side of that trade. That's what they're there for. So basically, an option creation is kind of like an example I give here. It's a bet on a football game. So if there's one guy that thinks that team A is going to win, the other guy thinks team B is going to win, there is no bet until they come to an agreement. And that's what kind of an option is. And to further along this betting example, the brokers, the stock exchanges, and the clearinghouses themselves are the bookies. So they keep the extra fees. They make sure everything gets processed. They make sure you get your money or you lose your money and the money's in your account. Make sure that both parties to this option contract can fulfill the contract. Next question. Do you actually lay out money up front while trading? The way we understood it, you get money from the options you sell, and that covers your expenses of anything you need to purchase. Yes and no. You get a credit when you sell an option. So let's say we're selling a naked option, you do get a credit. That money is put into your account. So if you do a trade like a naked option, or if you do an iron condor, or sell an iron condor, or sell a credit spread, that money, the credit that you receive, is put into your account, and you can actually use that money to go out and buy stock with it or whatnot, whatever the credit you have. You cannot, but the amount that you have to have in your account is called the margin. Now, to sell options, you do have to have a margin account, but we do not use margin in the regular sense. But the thing is that, let's say we're selling a credit spread and the maximum you can lose on this trade is, say, $500. That $500 has to stay in your account the entire time of the trade. So even though you might get a credit of, say, $100, and if your maximum loss is $500, that $500 has to stay in your account. The $100 you get as a credit, you could use that for something else or take it out. But you have to have the maximum amount you could lose in your account. And that is considered, it's called margin in the brokerage softwares, but it's not really margin in the traditional sense of when you're buying a stock. If it's a stock is a $100 stock, you can get it for $50, or you can buy twice as much because of the margin. And then the other part of this concept is that as we understood it, you get the money from options you sell, and that covers your expenses of anything you need to purchase. I think that refers to a spread, and in that sense that, yes, when you sell an option, if you're doing a credit spread, you're selling an option that is more expensive, and then you're buying an option that is cheaper, so you actually get money back. Now, based on your experience, 80% of all options expire worthless, then why is there a market for those options? Who would buy such options? Two main groups of option buyers. The first group, they buy for insurance. So for example, let's say we have a large portfolio of $1 million and we think that the market is going to crash. Well, we're not sure. So what we can do is go out into the market and buy a bunch of put options, either on our stocks or on the market in general. We could buy put options on the SPX or the Russell or the Dow or whatever index you want to buy them on. And that would protect you in case of a loss, because if your stocks drop, then the value of your options will rise, and that will offset and you'll be hedged. That is the normal version of the insurance. And then there's the other ones that are the people that are gambling. They're using options for speculative strategies. And yes, you can make a lot of money if you hit a home run or a grand slam, but more often than not, people do lose money in the long term buying options. So the 80% of all options expire worthless has been debated. There have been studies done that show it's 80%. Some people say it's 70%. Some people say it's more than 80%. But the options that we sell, we can choose the probability of expiration that we want. So it doesn't really matter how many of them expire worthless, because we can decide what percentage we want to sell. Next question. You say that you wish to limit the amount of members and the amount of money doing the same trades as you. However, you are actively seeking more members by advertising on the web. And anyway, how can you control or limit the amounts that each member invests in a trade? Okay, so now this question is about the Option Genius service itself, where I say that I don't want to have an unlimited amount of members. I'm going to cap it off at a certain point. That's true. But I am currently advertising on the web. That is true also. So we are listed. We do some advertising, small amounts. We also have a YouTube channel. We also have a Twitter thing and whatever else, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we are looking for new members. We haven't cut it off yet. If we do cut it off, then there will be a waiting list, and anyone who wants to join can join the waiting list. And when people drop off, you can join up, but we're not there yet. So I limit the number of members for multiple reasons. Number one, the main reason is because I like to answer every email personally. So that this email that came in, I answered this email personally. I have hired somebody to do the customer service side, so I have freed up a little bit more time to focus on the trading and answer questions. But I don't want to get to the point where I'm answering questions for 5, 6, 7 hours a day. That's not why this site was created. And so if it gets to that point, then we will be cutting it off. I do have a number in mind. I haven't got there yet, but if we do get there, then we will stop adding new members. The another reason for limiting members might be to protect current members, because they might not all be able to enter the same trades. If we have too many people trying to enter the same trade at the same amount of time at the same price, everybody's not going to get filled. Now that's going to happen. So if we have 5,000 people or 1,000 people or 2,000 people, whatever, trying to get into the same option trade at the same time at the same price, that's not going to happen, because as soon as that happens, the market makers are going to start changing prices. Prices will change up or down, and then everybody was not going to get filled. So the items that we trade, the indexes, the ETFs, the stocks, they're very liquid, and I make sure to choose the strike prices and the options and the months that are very liquid, so that everybody can get filled, even if they're trading very large. And if you cannot get filled at that same price, you can change the price and get in, usually on the same day without much of a problem. Or you can always get in the next day at a similar price, or a very close to price. So up till now, we have a bunch of members, but we have not had any problems with people getting filled. So I don't see that as a problem. I do take precautions against that. And I cannot control how much members invest in each trade. That is true. That is up to them. We have some people that are paper trading and don't have more than, say, $5,000 in their account, and we have others who are trading several $100,000 in their account. Doesn't really matter, but if you are trading a much larger sum, then you should be more sophisticated. You should have a better understanding of the trades, and you should already know how to get in and out of trades. Next question. Is it up to us to determine how much money do we put into a trade, and is there any limit on the amount of money that we can put into a trade? Yes, it's up to you as an individual trader to decide how much money you want to invest in each trade. Again, the trades that we give on the advisory are trades that I am doing. They're not, we're not financial planners, and we're not stockbrokers or anything like that. If you want to decide to copy me, then it's your right. You can do that, but the risk is yours, and you have to be aware of that, because every trade can lose money. Even though the odds are in our favor, the trade can lose money, and if it does lose money, I'm trading with real money, so I'm going to be losing money. If it does lose money, then if you're trading with real money, then you're going to hurt as well. Now, there are no limits to how much money you can put into a trade, but the example account that I use for the service, and I do trade larger than that, but the example account is $10,000. If you are trading a lot more than $10,000, you should take extra precautions. And by what I mean is that, since I'm only using $10,000, I don't want to put more than say 10 or 20% into each trade. And so that limits what I can do. But if you're trading with $100,000 into a single trade, then your options, pun intended, are greater than what I could do. So in that sense, what I would suggest is you adding some extra longs or puts or both to protect your position. And if you are a member and if you are trading large, then please go ahead and email me and I can give you some examples on how that would work out. We are residents outside the U.S. Can we use a non-U.S. account to conduct our trades? Yes, you can. We have several members in Canada and Australia that do trade. But the thing is that you're going to have to find a broker that will allow you to do that. If you live in the U.S. and you open if you open an account in the U.S., then you can go abroad and you can trade that from anywhere in the world. But if you're living outside the U.S., then you'll need a broker that will open an international account for you. There are a few. Go ahead and email us if you need some, and we'll give you some names. We've seen your free video on how to execute a trade and have tried to follow your example in lesson 5 on adjustments. We really do not feel sufficiently confident or have a sufficient understanding to execute the trades ourselves, but we want to get started. Can we use a broker to do the trades based on your instructions? Basically, what you're asking in this question is about auto trading. Auto trading is an agreement between you and your broker. And then the broker would get the email from us, and then the broker executes the trade for you in your account. We do auto trade with a few brokers currently. You can see the list on our website. But before you do auto trading, especially someone that's asking these kind of questions, I would not do auto trading first. I would start with paper trading. I would read all of the beginning information stuff on the website, how to get started, how an option works. The paper trading workbook is very good for that. You need to know exactly what you're doing before you put your money at risk. And I've said this on the website as well as on the blog many times. Do not risk your money in something you don't know anything about. Bernie Madoff comes to mind. People gave him money, millions of dollars, and it just went up in smoke. I don't want that to happen to you. For example, there are people that are members of our site and they follow my trades to some degree. Some of them take a more risky approach. Some of them take a more conservative approach. It depends on your risk tolerance. And so I suggest that everyone start out by paper trading for a few months. I want you to understand your broker software. I want you to understand the trades. I want you to understand some of the adjustments. I'm always here to answer your questions via email. And there is an option on the website of how you can get in touch with me via phone if you need to. There's a lot of stuff on our website about how to get started. There's a lot of stuff online. There are a lot of books that can teach you how to get started. But do not, and I say this to everybody, do not put your retirement and your money into somebody else's hands when you don't know what they're doing. I can't stress that enough. You're taking the time to watch this video, or you're taking the time to learn and read and understand more about options. Don't stop here. Go the extra mile. Go the final yard. Go ahead and learn how to do the trades yourselves, because eventually, in the end, that's what you want. You want to be able to do the trades yourselves. You don't want to be dependent on somebody else. And so, paper trade, as long as it takes, you can paper trade for a year. You'll be out a few dollars for the membership fee. Yes, that's fine. But one trade going bad, you could lose more than that in a couple days. So do your paper trading, learn the strategies, follow them up into into more details,